Have you guys heard the term alternate economy? It's like this attempt to work with companies that are not run by a bunch of woke leftists that want to deplatform you for your values and your belief systems. I'd like to introduce you to Precision Pay. Precision Pay is a dedicated payment network built for the Second Amendment and outdoor recreation community, turning payments into a powerful network of shared values that prioritizes privacy, lower costs, and uninterrupted service, all without the risk of being deplatformed by these leftist nut jobs. Join Precision Pay to pay securely by bank without the privacy risks of credit cards. Save money and support our community. Enjoy promotions, discounts, and content. Membership is free. Folks, dedicated payment network built for the Second Amendment and outdoor recreation community is right up my alley. Help America, help yourself. Check out Precision Pay at myprecisionpay.com. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your host, coming at you from the Broken Tine studio right here in Northwest Montana, soaking up this rainy summer day. I am really excited about this episode, guys, because I kind of feel vindicated in a way, because if you've listened to this show for a while, you've heard me talk about this thing where I'm like not a gear junkie. I don't really care. I shouldn't say I don't care. I'm not like one of those people that has to have the latest and greatest of the optics and the bows and the, all this stuff. And you guys know, it's not an opinion of necessity. It's an opinion of, I've seen what you can do with a pair of jeans in the backcountry versus a $200 pair of mountain pants or whatever. And that's not to say I don't have a lot of good gear, guys. This is not a talk smack on gear, because I love good gear too. If you can afford it, great. What my philosophy has always been is, I think that hunters, and a lot of this comes from social media, spend way too much money on gear and stuff that they don't need. And that is not the things that make animals die on the mountain. And I finally found this dude that talks about it, and he's got way more experience with it than I do. And so I thought, man, this would be a great episode. So meet my new buddy, Tate Bradfield. His Instagram is Process-Based Hunter. And I want to just read the thing. We are dedicated to teaching people how to hunt and thrive in the outdoors, the mentors you've been searching for. So Tate, brother, man, I appreciate you joining me on the show, man.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's not often that I get asked to be on a podcast anymore. I've been on a lot of podcasts, but it seems like the last 6 months I haven't been asked as much. So,
well, they don't know what they're missing.
Well, hopefully they'll listen to your podcast and they will know that. But we teach people how to hunt. That's what we do professionally.
Tell us a little more about that, man. Tell us a little bit about your background and like this is I'm really intrigued with your business here.
Well, I was born in 95. No, I'm just we won't start there. So I've been a guide for most of my adult life. I'm 31 right now. I'm still fairly young, but I think I started guiding when I was 23, I want to say. Okay. And I love guiding. I love being in the outdoors a lot. And honestly, the reason I got into guiding is I was like, I wanted to hunt more and my wife didn't want me to hunt. So I was like, well, honey, what if I got paid to go hunting? And she was like, well, I guess as long as you're working, it's fine. So then it became an unhealthy habit to guide. But we made decent money from it. I did that for 2 or 3 or 4 years before I started my own business. Honestly, I was a pretty horrible outfitter when I first started my business, but there's a learning curve just like there is to anything. And after a while, I was, we were doing really, really well. And I just noticed myself becoming a little bit disillusioned from the idea of having somebody rent my experience and my legs for a week. I really enjoyed taking the cow elk hunters that just wanted to come because they couldn't afford anything else and they wanted to learn how to do it DIY.
Sure.
And I realized that I wanted to switch my guiding career to be something different from a regular guide. And I'm not smack talking guides. I still do guide hunts traditionally a few times a year, but most of my business now, all we do is teach hunting courses. And kind of our flagship product is we take people out on a semi-guided hunt, and it's a semi-guided hunting course. So 7 days, we have a 2-day course at the beginning of it. Last 5 days, they have an elk tag in their pocket and they're actively trying to kill an elk, and they have a mentor or a guide with them that will teach them what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, walk them through that whole process of becoming an avid hunter and a proficient hunter. And that's why we call it process-based hunter.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. I really like that concept. And, I guide as well. And I think I was just talking about this on an episode. Like, I love my archery clients because they always come out here and they're like, they want to learn how to call. They want to learn. And my goal, I tell them all that, like, I want you, when you're done hunting with me here in Montana, I want you to be able to take this information and go find elk anywhere and learn how to do this on your own. And so that's really cool concept. You guys just do it as a business model. And, like my buddy Joe Gilia down at Elk Bros, they kind of do that in New Mexico, and they have like a process where it's like, man, here, you come with us, we're going to teach you how to hunt. And then, it's like a guided hunt, but after that, you're on your own, And so I really like that. Why is that like important to you? Is it, tell me what your draw is to it. Cause you seem I just found you on Instagram. So I've been kind of watching a lot of your videos. You're pretty dang passionate about it.
I am sorry, I had something in my throat. I am very passionate about it. I would say that my draw to it. So kind of what got me into it is I have a buddy named Herb. He's become a really good hunting buddy. We've hunted a lot together. We've shot moose, elk, all kinds of stuff, which you wouldn't think that we would get along so well when we go hunting. He's like a super nerdy. I mean, he's not that nerdy, but he's an engineer. So he's extremely intelligent.
Real analytical type.
Yeah, very analytical. And I'm just a redneck that knows how to shoot stuff, right? But he came out and I taught him how to hunt. And then the next year he went out and shot a cow elk totally on his own in Wyoming. And after that, I was like, man, like I really changed his life to a degree, at least his hunting life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I think he shot 3 Yukon moose. And he's killed at least 1 elk every single year since then. Sometimes he'll kill 2 or 3 elk in a year.
Wow.
And ever since then, though, that it changed. Like, I'm more proud of my guiding career now than I was back then, or back when I was guiding traditionally, because, when a client texts you a picture of a 365-inch bull elk that they shot on their own. Sorry about that. It switched to a handset. But when a client sets you a picture of something that they killed of this massive bull, or even if it's a smaller elk, like it did something new to me than me basically just leading them to it and say, that's the one you should shoot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that feeling of helping guys feel like I don't need someone else to accomplish what I've always dreamed about accomplishing.
It's interesting, man. I swear I just had this conversation. I must be, or maybe it was 6 months ago, and it seems fresh. But that's what happens when you get into your 40s. Like I was just telling somebody, with the whole guiding thing that we do, you tend to get like half the clients that come in that really want to dig in and learn and know how to go off on their own and do it, and then the other half. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, but they're just totally content, man. They want to pay an outfitter and a guide every year and have somebody take them out and show them where the elk are and whatever. And that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah. Arguably, that's a better business model than what I do, because I make self-sufficient people.
I know. I always think about that, but there's like no shortage of those kind of folks, and there's nothing wrong with that. They don't want to be elk experts. They just want to come out and have an adventure and whatever. And that's totally fine. But I love this concept of actually having an option where they can come in and learn the foundational things that actually kill. I'm using elk as an example because this is a pretty elk centric show, but things that actually kill elk. And tell me a little bit about a lot of your videos on your Instagram, man. You're talking about. It looks like it kind of drives you crazy too that people drop. I have clients that come out with $3,500 worth of like camo, and they've never been hunting, and this is their only trip in the next 10 years. And like let's talk about the gear thing for a minute.
So I have a few sponsors as well. We were talking briefly before, and you're like, it's like I have the same issue where it's like I want to help my sponsors out, but at the same time be truthful to all the people that are viewing anything that I put out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fine line there because you need gear and you need optics and you need all of that stuff. But you want people to understand that when they're first starting, it's okay to buy used stuff.
Yeah.
It's okay to not wear camo at all. It's okay to work up from a beginning place. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I started personally hunting with my dad and my grandpa when I was a kid, I was wearing Levi's and like a t-shirt, basically what I'm wearing right now, right? Like I didn't wear anything fancy. I think I had $10 Tasco binoculars.
Oh yeah, me too. Man. I mean, I went to the Army Navy surplus and got like an old Alice pack. I went deer hunting in cowboy boots, which are really loud on shell rock and stuff. It's just you just don't. And like my grandpa and my dad, they never bought this gear. And they killed stuff. They didn't have all this expensive gear. And this has always been a thing. Like there's a phase. I always look at it like this, man. Everybody, as you go through life, you have these phases in life and you have these seasons in life. When you're 21, 25, whatever, just starting out in your career, and you've got maybe little kids at home, you're still in diapers. Diapers are really expensive, and you need to prioritize things like diapers instead of brand new optics. When you get to my age, you're in a different season. So like I can afford really expensive optics if I want. Do I need them to go kill an elk behind where I live? No, man, I don't. I don't. But man, they're sure nice to have when I
they are.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I 100% know what you mean. And here's another portion of why my opinion is on that is because I'm taking people that are maybe my most expensive course is $4,500. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to keep everything as cheap as I possibly can so that most people could afford it.
So let me ask you something on that, man. Like $4,500, is that 7-day thing where there's 2 days of hunting or 2 days of class and then 5 days of hunting?
Yeah, that's $4,500.
That's really inexpensive. That's really inexpensive.
Super cheap for an elk hunt.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is our success rates and our shot opportunities are about the same as many over-the-counter opportunities that you could get on public land in like Colorado or Montana or Idaho. Mm-hmm. In fact, in some circumstances, like in Idaho and the wilderness areas, especially, our shot opportunities are higher. But it just the hard part is people come out. Like here's the ultimate example. I had a guy actually book a hunt. He paid his half down deposit, called me back about 3 hours later and says, I got to cancel. I can't afford to do this. And I was like, what are you talking about? You already paid for it. Like how can you not? You've already paid. You can afford to do it. Right. And he's like, I can't afford all the gear that I need to come out. He booked the hunt, went to YouTube, started watching all this stuff of people going through technical gear and was like, I can't afford all this. This is $20,000 worth of gear.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you don't have to buy that. You don't have to buy any of that expensive stuff. For $1,000, if you already own the bow or you already own the rifle, you can get everything you need and more to come out and hunt and be successful.
Yeah.
And I would say you could even do it for less than $1,000. I'd say
totally
a good quarter of my gear I bought at thrift stores for really cheap.
Seriously, man, I actually just bought a really cool day pack at a Goodwill thrift store for like $20, man. Somebody didn't know what it was. They put it out there for $20. It's like a $200 pack if you were to buy it right from the website, it's a great point, dude. Like, when was this? This was 2 years ago. I had these 2 weeks of guiding during rifle elk, right? And the first guy that showed up, and these were one-on-one hunts. First guy shows up, he's got $3,000-$4,000 worth of gear between his pack, his camo. He had never been out west and hunted. He'd been like a big time whitetail hunter in I think like Tennessee or somewhere back east. Man, I could not get him to sit still. I couldn't get him to walk very far. I couldn't get him to find animals when I'm seeing them. Like, no, dude, they're right there 200 yards. He didn't know how to find it. Like, he just didn't know how to be in the mountains. And it cost him both his tags. He had a deer and an elk tag. The week right after that, I get this hillbilly dude from North Carolina who shows up. And he's got these, it was a real rainy week, and he's got these weird leathery chap things. And so as we're walking through the alderbrush, his name was Mike. I'm like, Mike, what are you wearing, dude? He's like, well, this will keep the water off me. And I'm like, that's a bad idea. They're going to be so loud. We're walking through alderbrush, and it just sounds like a freight train going through the brush. That dude at the end of the week ends up killing a really nice buck. And he put a hole in an elk, but his rifle was a little off. He shot the elk right in the butt. So that elk's still running around out there. We tracked him for 2 days. But the point is like, it just is like a proven thing as to what you're saying, where people are prioritizing the wrong thing. They're prioritizing the $1,000 worth of camo and the $1,000 pack and the $3,000 rifle or the $1,500 bow, whatever it is. You're prioritizing the wrong thing. You work into that and allow the gear to catch up to your skill level, and not buy gear and hope your skill level catches up to the gear. Does that ring true to you?
No, it makes total sense. The biggest thing that I see, I've trained about 450 people at this point in person. And so I have a large database of seeing what people like. Why are they doing certain things? I've been able to talk to a lot of new hunters, experienced whitetail hunters that are trying to come back out to the West and transfer those skills to another portion of hunting. The biggest reason new hunters want to buy gear is because of a lack of confidence and a lack of knowing what to expect. They don't have expectations because many of them have never even been out West. Much less hunted out West. So when they start hearing people, and like we both said, there's nothing wrong with good gear. Good gear is, man, it makes your life so much easier. You know, like Absolutely. I remember packing elk out with like my backpack from school. You know, like it was horrible, but we did it.
Yep.
But now my pack is way more comfortable, right? And I spent a lot more money on it. But most people buy a lot of gear because it's easier to buy gear than it is to build confidence. And the gear is tangible, the confidence not so much. So, and if they're nervous about coming out, the gear is something that they can control before they get out here. What I notice is most of the time, guys will have a ton of gear. Most of it they don't use the whole week that they're with me. Yeah. Most of it just gets thrown in the truck and they realize, oh, I don't need all this stuff, and we're still being successful. Or at least still seeing elk on a daily basis or whatever it might be. The 3 things that I'd recommend guys spend the money on, boots, backpacks, and optics. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to blow all of their life savings. They don't have to go to Swarovskis. To this day, I've still never bought a pair of Swarovskis, and I do this professionally. I wouldn't mind a pair of Swarovskis, but
yeah.
But that's the biggest thing for me is it's a lack of confidence they're trying to make up for.
Yeah, man. I think you nailed it with that. Actually, I never really thought about it that way, but that's probably exactly what it is they've got maybe this nervousness about coming to this new place to hunt, whether they're being guided or going, DIY or whatever. And maybe just trying to make up for that lack of confidence and that nervousness with really high dollar gear. I would tend to agree with your 3. Optics for me are probably further down on that list, just because of the nature of the area that I hunt. Great example. Leupold Optics has been a sponsor on this show for a long time, and I love Leupold. I love their American made, business model and everything else that they do. Right. So it's not that, but in my defense, I didn't actually buy it. I think, oh, it's sitting over there. I've got this like $3,500 spotter, right? This thing would be great if I was hunting Utah or Southern Idaho or like the plains in Wyoming or something. But here, man, you don't, it just doesn't bode well. You don't sit in glass where it's so thick and brushy here. You're just going to look at trees. That's mostly what you're going to look at. It's not like you have open faces and stuff like that. Very much of. I mean, you can, but the point is like for me, I even though I'm in a season of my life, I'm always careful with how I explain this. I'm in my mid 40s. I've been working hard my whole life, and I can go out and afford things like $3,500 optics. Now, where I live, if they didn't give that to me by being a show sponsor, would I go buy that? No, man, I wouldn't. I'm good with a good set of binos because that's just the nature of where I hunt. And so I guess I'm trying to create maybe some criteria we can come up with for listeners to like think about before they drop a bunch of money. Boots is a really good one, man.
Boots is, I mean, so my first season guiding, okay, I wore a Walmart Realtree camo shirt, 511 tactical pants, and I don't even know what brand they were, just some weird off-brand of steel-toed boot. And I mean, we hiked our guts out. I mean, I about killed my clients that first year, but I was going to get them on elk come hell or high water, right?
Yeah.
And I ran 100% shot opportunity my whole first season of guiding, which I was very proud of. Everybody that I took out,
that's really hard to achieve.
It's very hard to achieve. My first season out, everybody that I took, I think I took 3 archery hunters. Every one of them at least shot at an elk. One guy killed one. And then everybody that I took rifle hunting at least shot at something, or had the opportunity to shoot and elected not to because it wasn't big enough or whatever, the reason was, right? But I remember my client looking at me and kind of looking at my feet. We're 5 miles into the backcountry at this point, and he says, "Are those steel-toed?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, don't you wear work boots while you're out hunting?" And he handed me $400 right there, and he said, "Go buy yourself a pair of Crispies." And I will tell you this: I have never looked back because they were so much more comfortable. And I mean, just every time it rained before then, my feet were wet. Yep. Ever since then, my feet are no longer wet when it rains, right? So boots can make a hunt so much more bearable.
But like you said, I don't know why you chose steel toe, but you got 5 miles in with a pair of steel toe. And like, I know exactly what you mean, man. I've hunted in Walmart tennis shoes before. And if you've got the money, again, I'm cautioning a lot. I think a lot of times, dude, I get on this show and I'm like trying to talk to myself when I was 20 some odd years old. And I made some bad mistakes, man. I had 2 little babies, and we, diapers was a big expense. We could barely afford our rent. And I'd go out there and try to justify just a measly $150 for a pair of decent hunting boots. And that was a struggle back then. And honestly, to you young guys out there, make sure your wives aren't listening, but you shouldn't go out and buy that stuff. Take care of the kids first. Make sure you got enough diapers to get through hunting season before you're buying boots. And so, but boots, once you get to the point, save up the money, take an extra job. I mean, go freaking deliver pizza for a couple of months. You could buy all sorts of gear on that and get some extra money. Good boots are a critical function of a enjoyable hunt, not necessarily a successful hunt, but an enjoyable hunt, like Tate's saying. Backpacks, that's another good one you mentioned. I totally agree with that. A good backpack will go a long way. But
Literally,
can you get an elk out? Yeah, a long way. A long way. I have all sorts of packs, man. I have a thing for packs. And so
I would say I'll tell a story about myself, because you were talking about talking to yourself when you were in your 20s. A few years ago, man, it's been 5 years ago. That's crazy to think about. Almost 5.5 years ago. Me and my wife, I was guiding. It was my first year running my own outfitting business, and everything was going south. I was not prepared. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. And my wife was cooking for me, and she was 4 months pregnant, or 6 months pregnant, excuse me. And she was cooking for me in one of my outfitting camps. and her water broke in the middle of nowhere.
At 6 months?
6 months. Well, about 24 and a half weeks. Yeah.
Wow.
So, her water broke. Long story short, I told my clients, I will have a replacement up here tomorrow. You're on your own. Right. Which they were gracious in understanding that we had to get her to a hospital. We got her down to a hospital. My baby was born at 24 and a half weeks.
Wow.
Through a C-section. And I mean, between having to drive an hour and a half to the hospital all the time, medical bills, stays around the hospital, everything. I mean, it drained us. It bled us dry. And I sold everything. I sold my backpacks. I sold everything but my boots, basically. And I kept one rifle, a 6.5 Creedmoor Ruger American Gen 1. Not a nice rifle, but I kept my binoculars because I had to keep guiding. But that was a really hard season for me because my wife and my baby are in the hospital and I'm still having to go out and guide and work. Mm-hmm. But I sold everything, and I bought a $90 frame pack that wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world, but I used that for 2 years while I worked back up to being able to be back on my feet again.
Yeah.
And I used that 6.5 Creedmoor Ruger American, and I shot everything with it. I shot my biggest mule deer with it. It's about a 175-inch buck. I shot my biggest black bear with that, which was a 6.5 foot bear in Idaho. Mm-hmm. You don't need the expensive stuff. I didn't kill anything bigger or anything more than what I currently have right now. I just do it a little bit more comfortably.
Yeah, that's a critical point, man. I think I love hearing stuff like that, and we have a lot of similarities. I have an old Model 94 Winchester 30-30 without any optics on it, and I've killed more deer with that rifle than anything else. And a lot of people think that I'm just bragging up the fact that it's this open sights gun or whatever. No, man, it was literally all I could afford. It was all I could afford. In fact, my wife...
I would love a $3,000 custom rifle. But
seriously. I couldn't even afford a scope on it back then, and so I'd just sneak up on the deer and get them that way. And it's just, I don't know. I killed a lot of things with an old pawn shop bow, that I had half carbon and half aluminum arrows. And I didn't know that you were supposed to match everything up. I just thought a bow would shoot. This is back in the day. I bought it at a pawn shop for like $80, and it's just, it doesn't, I guess, I love having the gear now that I do. And I'm really blessed because I get on here once a week and I talk about hunting. So I get a lot of gear given to me, and I'm very appreciative of that, because it allows me to try a lot of things that I wouldn't normally I'm kind of cheap, man. I wouldn't go buy some of these things and whatever, but it's led me to believe, because I used to have a much harder stance than I do now. With this topic, I used to make fun of people that had, $1,000 packs, but I will tell you, man, I can stay in the field a lot longer because I actually, on the gear that I buy now, I do spend more money on it. On the gear that's given to me, it allows me to try out this higher dollar stuff. And it's like, man, I'm more comfortable. I'm drier. I can walk further. I can go further. I could be more confident in the fact that, okay, I'm in the backcountry. Here comes a thunderstorm. It's end of September. You know how they get in the high country, things can get pretty Western. But I'm good. I've got the gear for it, and so that part is great. I think that, do you think social media and that has really put this mindset in people that maybe there's a factor of, I'm not cool if I don't have this gear to take a picture of myself, a grip and grin? Does that cost people a lot of money?
I think there's a portion of that plays into it, but I also think that that gear has become such a driving force. I would say it like that. Gear has become such a driving force, or gear companies have become such a driving force at production of content creation, that people, we push them. I push them, right? I have sponsors for my business as well, and I do push them. I want to support the companies that support me. But I also I also really try hard to help people understand and to free people from the mindset of, I have to have this in order to get started. And most of the time, I feel like it comes from a place of culture. The culture in the hunting industry has changed a lot because of influencers, whatever you want to call them, right?
Yeah. Influencers,
And
that's right.
and
People
I
sometimes
would
call
say,
me an influencer. It blows my mind, dude. I'm not influencing
oh,
anybody.
I've been called that a couple of times. It makes me want
Yeah.
to vomit. I
Yeah, me
hate it.
too. I do too.
I'm like, I'm a redneck that likes to help guys,
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
But I would say a lot of it's driven by culture.
Mhm.
And a lot of it, like, people are wanting to get into Western hunting now, probably more so than ever before. Maybe not hunting in general. I feel like hunting in general is probably going down nationwide, but Western hunting has gone up drastically.
Yeah,
And
archery hunting specifically has really gone up.
100%. And
Yeah.
I feel like with that, people watch so much social media to try and prepare for coming out west, and a lot of it's focused around gear because that's what pays the bills. That they almost don't even question what they need versus what they don't.
hmm Yeah.
Does that make
That's
sense?
a good way to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. I think. Yeah. Man, you said something there that really hit me. Like, in fact, I should get you on for a School of September. I do a series called School of September, and it's all about the idea and the concept behind it is you have this mental toolbox, and we're just trying to discuss what tools you need so that whatever scenario you're in the elk woods during September, you can reach into that toolbox and utilize it. And I'm always curious with guys like you, man. You've had all these people come out for guiding out for your outfitter and doing this training with you, and you teach people how to hunt. You've seen a lot of different personalities and different things. Do you think that there's like a commonality or a consistency, like a consistently bad mindset that new hunters get, that they get kind of caught up in, that costs them notch tags? And I'm trying to like spread the question out long enough so that you can kind of think about the answer. But
pardon the interruption, but let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. The coolest thing about having Leupold as a show sponsor is I've been an authentic, genuine customer of theirs for a very long time. I bought my first Leupold scope years ago. I now have the scopes, the spotters, the tripods, the bipods, everything. And my favorite piece of gear that I have, whether I'm guiding or hunting for myself, is going to be that BX4 Range HD Gen 2 binos. Man, these things are sweet. I love this company. I love the products. They're high quality. They're trustworthy. They've got a great warranty, and they're American made, which is a huge factor for me, as you guys know. So if you're going to spend your hard-earned money, make sure you're spending it with companies that align with your value sets. And if you're listening to this show, I have a feeling they probably align fairly closely with mine, and Leupold does just that. They support sportsmen. They support conservation. They support America, American jobs, American manufacturing, and high-quality products for a great value. You can't go wrong. Check it out at leupold.com. I only look for a few things when it comes to a hunting pack. And I've run a lot of different packs over the years, between my time in the military to when I was a kid running around the mountains with that Vietnam-era Army-Navy surplus one I bought, to all the packs I've had now, some very high-dollar ones to some very cheap ones. There's a lot of things I like, but the things that are important to me is it needs to be water-resistant, it needs to be good at load-bearing, it needs to, help prevent that sweat that builds up between your back and the actual pack that drives me crazy. And it needs to be functional. I like to have the proper pouches and a good belt pouch and things to set up and accommodate the way that I like to hunt. Man, I tell you what, the Mystery Ranch has achieved all those things in both packs that I have, between the Sawtooth 45 and the Sawtooth 65. You can also get the Beartooth 85 and the Marshall 105, depending on how much time you want to spend in the backcountry. I couldn't recommend this pack more. It's super functional. It's great at packing meat. It's great at packing everything that I need for the day, whether I'm guiding or if I'm just hunting. It keeps the water out. Super functional pack. Couldn't recommend them high enough. Check it out at mysteryranch.com/mysterium and let them know the Western Huntsman sent you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for those who support our sponsors. Let's get back to the show.
But does that make sense how I'm asking it? There's this, okay, here we go. This guy thinks this way in order to be successful. What is that you feel like people need to just eliminate from their mindset? Then we're talking new hunters.
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, there's a couple of things. First, I want to preface this with saying I was just talking with another guide buddy of mine. He's been with me since I started guiding. We've known each other a long time. And we were both talking like it seems as though the clients that we used to take out were a lot more prepared to hunt than the ones we're taking now. And I don't mean that in a smack talky way, right? I think there's just more people wanting to come out with less experience partially. But I also think that it's that culture we were talking about where they rely on the gear for the confidence, and they almost rely on the gear for the success as well. That's a big thing that I find is that if guys come out and they focus solely on their gear to make them successful, generally they're not going to be successful.
And that happens. Oh, go ahead. I was going to cut you off.
But I would say beyond that, mental toughness is a really big thing. The guys that come out and give up have 100% chance of not killing something. The guys that come out, there was a couple of years ago, there was a guy that came out. We trained him. These guys worked their guts out. And there was guys seeing elk every single day. And I was training these guys for the first few days of this course. And they were just struggling the first half of the week. And then the last 2 days, I said, hey, this is where you should go. This is where I would go if I was hunting. And the last couple of days of the course, we turn them loose and we let them hunt on their own, right? We help them logistically, but these guys went in, they found an elk and they said, hey, how should I get in there? And I drew them a map to get in there. And you know what they did? They drew a different map and went in a different way that was way better than my way. And then they shot an elk.
Nice.
But I've also had guys that come out, see elk every day, have a botched stalk or two, and give up. Mental toughness is one of the biggest reasons guys go home empty-handed. Elk hunting is difficult. If you go to the Frank Church Wilderness in Idaho, I think there's like 0.3 elk per mile in the Frank Church. Like it's not a high density. I went in there for 6 days and got my butt kicked, right? I didn't see a single elk. And that's saying something for me. I think that's the only hunt I've gone on in the last 12 years that I didn't see an elk. But I kept hunting the whole time. I was working my guts out because I know there's a chance. The guys that give up, those guys are probably never going to become hunters.
Well, you have a couple of camps, man. You have the guys that are real serious about hunting, and it's actually really important to us that we get something down. And it's not for the glory of the gram or anything like that. Like, I could care less. If I didn't have this podcast, man, I wouldn't even have a social media, just because it irritates me. I'm a grumpy old. You're like, I'm a redneck from Southern Idaho or wherever you're at there, and I'm just a grumpier redneck, And so it's like I do it, whatever. But you have that mindset, and then you have you always have your casual hunters out there, and there's nothing. I'm not throwing rocks at them, whatever. It's for them. It's more about getting together with their buddies, hanging out around the fire, going out and looking around, getting their butt kicked, whatever. They don't really care. They're just as happy going home empty-handed. And again, for those guys, that's fine. But we're talking about the guys that are serious about wanting to be accomplished hunters. Like you and I don't know about you, man, but I live in 2 seasons. I live in hunting season and getting ready for hunting season. And that's it, and so I want, why I like that attitude is because, the whole concept of this show, we've got a lot up against us for the future of hunting. And we've got a lot of the anti-hunting movement, the anti-public land movement, there's a lot up against hunting. So the more people that we have that are actually passionate about doing this thing, and the better we can make them both in the field and just the way they present themselves online or whatever, is going to help the future of hunting. And that's where conversations like this come in, because I think you nailed it. I think that the first failing point of any hunter out there, especially like you said, elk hunters, man, is they're okay, I can go 5 miles around the high school track around the football field where it's flat. I can go 5 miles all day long, and then you get at the base of a ridge and you need to go 2 miles up. That's a whole different ball game. And there's no trail. It's just boondocking. It's not easy.
We had a guy a couple of years ago. I mean, I love this guy to death, so I'm not smack talking him at all. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. He shot an elk and wasn't able to get to it. Gratefully, he was with us and we were able to get it out, right? But he couldn't get to it. It was just too hard, and it was rough crap. I mean, we were in cliffs, right? But you got to be careful with elk hunting, and that's one of the reasons that I tell guys. Most guys pack too much gear as well. I get a lot of guys coming out with like 50 pounds of stuff on their back. They'll bring stuff for a multi-day pack, and I'm like, dude, you haven't even left the truck. Like, we're still glassing from the road, we're glassing 10 miles, but like, I was like, you don't have to carry that 100 yards off the hill to glass. You just bring the bare minimum, right? And I have a little bit of kickback when I post stuff like that on social media, but they're like, oh, just get stronger, get better. I'm like, yeah, most of these people can't do that. They're on flat ground in Kansas. They literally have nowhere to train for this. And that's why I tell them, bring the bare minimum, because once you shoot an elk, you now have the bare minimum that you had to be comfortable and to be safe, as well as 200 pounds of meat that you're supposed to get off this mountain.
Yeah.
So I'm not so worried about, the reason I have that weight cap that I try and teach people about, which is generally about 30 pounds for a day hunt, 25 to 35 pounds, but 30 on average, is because with water. Yeah. Is because once you get something knocked over, now you have to carry your stuff and elk out. Right. And that's something that most people don't think about.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I kind of generally when I get a new hunting client, it's like, let's go see what's in your pack. And, we're going to take out the satellite TV. We're going to take out, all these different things that you have, the gigantic radio and walkie-talkie thing that you don't even know how to use. There's it's interesting. I see some crazy stuff in people's packs, man. And a lot of people are real superstitious, and they have these like, tokens from their grandpa or something in there. That's cool, whatever. But I'm with you, man. You're going out on a day pack. You don't need jet boils and, all this other crap unless you're planning on staying the night. You don't need your toothbrush in your day pack. You don't need a bedroll in your day pack. Well, what if I get stranded and spend the night? Man, you better be tough, because if you get stranded and you get lost, you better know how to make a fire and just learn how to make something comfortable out there, because the likelihood of that is pretty dang low. And so if it does happen, I promise a few leaves piled up will keep you pretty comfy for the night, as long as you know how to make a fire.
Can I share one more story?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
About that?
Yeah.
So I was in Alaska. I haven't guided in Alaska. I would like to guide in Alaska, but it's a part of my guiding career that has not yet manifested itself. But I have packed for outfitting camps in Alaska. And there was this one time in between hunts where me and this other packer, we kept seeing these black bears up on this mountain, right? And we were like, we need to go after those black bears, because there's some big freaking black bears up on that mountain. And it was about a 2-mile jaunt to get up there. And have you hunted in Alaska?
No, I want to, but I haven't ever.
It's absolute hell.
I keep hearing that. Isn't it? I think hunters are the only group where it's like, it's absolute hell, and that gets me excited. That gets hunters excited. I just got back from a hunt in Alaska, and it was hard, but I loved every second of it. But I remember this is the first time, it's like you look at this meadow and you're like, oh, that's going to be easy. And then it's 4 inches of sludge as you cross the meadow. And then you get up on top of the mountain and you're like, oh, this is going to be easy. And then it's like walking on a waterbed because of the tundra. Even on the top of the mountain, it was like I would step and it would just ripple. The ground would just ripple around me. But we hiked up into this spot, and the guy missed one black bear that was a young one. So I'm actually pretty grateful he missed that one, like way down low. And then we got further up, and there was this nice big black bear, probably a 6.5, 7 foot bear. Maybe not quite 7, but he was big, nice bear. And he shot at it and missed that one as well. He shot low. It was a little bit of a poke, about 450 yards with a 338 Ultra Mag, I want to say. But
for him, it was a poke because it was a rifle he wasn't used to. We borrowed somebody else's rifle to get up there. But
Sure.
Anyway, long story short, we're walking down empty-handed, and the kid I was with had gassed himself. He had just worked so hard getting to the top of that mountain and hunting and doing what we had done all day that on our way out, he started throwing up. He was just totally gassed. He couldn't keep walking. It started getting dark on us because we were going so slow because he was sick.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up staying the night on a mountain. We elected to stay up high on the mountain rather than try and get down as low as we could because there was a river down at the bottom of the mountain, and that's where all the brown bears were. Generally speaking, the brown bears in the fall, at least during the salmon runs, the brown bears are going to be down on the river, and the black bears are going to be up high because the brown bears will kill and eat the black bears, so the black bears will avoid the brown bears. And what was crazy though is that, you know, he's sick, and I had the sense to just bring a 12 by 12 tarp with me. It was a full size, like not even an ultralight one. It was friggin' heavy, but I'd had the sense to bring it with me in a just in case scenario. And I'm grateful I did. We filtered some water. I got some food in his system. I told him to relax. And then we just rolled up in that tarp. And I said, don't come out of this tarp. No matter what you do, no matter how claustrophobic you get, do not throw this tarp off of you.
Mm-hmm.
And we were cold. We were already wet because we'd been walking through Alaska. And he got claustrophobic or something, and he threw the tarp off of himself in the middle of the night. And it was raining when he did that. And he got drenched in rain. We woke up at about 4:30 in the morning, and he's just shivering uncontrollably. It was cold. It was probably 45 degrees outside. So we were all, I was shivering too.
Couldn't do a fire, you think? Oh, I kind of lost you there.
It's like we were able to stay and sleep long enough that he was sufficiently recovered to make the rest of the walk down. So just knowing a few specific and like just general skills can save your life at times.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you kind of cut out there a little bit, but I get the gist of what you're saying. And I think that ties into another why I think like courses like what you're doing are really crucial for guys that, you know, a lot of people, I imagine, they're growing up in non-hunting households and they're getting into it as adults. They didn't have like a mentor and things that really critical things that people miss. Like everybody wants to learn how to bugle, but they don't know any woodsmanship. And so not understanding, you know, what to bring to keep that pack light, but also worst case scenario, this could happen. Like there's a lot of really good gear out there that is very inexpensive that will get you through a night should that come up, like in your situation there in Alaska. But and understanding like the different nuances of as to where you're hunting, like what I pack to go into the backcountry of Alaska is going to be a little bit different than if I were hunting, you know, Arizona Unit 20 or something for elk, you know. And so I think that kind of stuff that boils down to your woodsmanship. Do you guys teach that in your, like, any kind of woodsmanship, any kind of, I'm not talking about bushcraft or anything like that. I'm not trying to get all Kevin Estella. Hopefully he listens and hears me poke at him a little bit, but you know, I'm just talking about just basic fundamental woodsmanship type stuff. Like, hey man, we need to rest up. You twisted your ankle. Probably best if we sit this one out throughout the night. We're going to like put a tarp up and make a little fire, and it might get down to 30 degrees tonight, but we're going to be okay because we're going to have a fire. Do you guys teach that kind of stuff at all? Or what does that look like?
We haven't in years past. I mean, we do, like when people are out with us, we do teach them general woodman skills, whether with us. We have one course where we teach that a little bit more, but next year we're going to expand that course. It's called our elk hunting boot camp. That one's going to be expanded. Yeah, it's pretty intense. That one's going to be expanded a lot more to help teach wood skills, fire starting skills, skills that are going to help people become just better outdoorsmen as well as better hunters.
Gotcha. So what kind of stuff do you teach outside of that? Like, are you teaching things like locating elk, you know, calling, closing the, you know, that kind of stuff, glassing? That's what you guys are teaching in that?
Yeah, so in any of our courses, we teach our full process. Like we actually believe that there is, whether hunters realize it or not, there's an actual process that almost every successful Western hunter follows. And so there's a process that we teach from glassing to closing distance, to successfully making stalks. Closing distance and making a stalk can be one and the same, but they can also be somewhat different. You can close distance, lose an animal, find it again that evening, and then stalk, right? So there's a lot of things that go into play there, but we also, in that elk hunting boot camp, about 60% of that is shooting. Because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I love all my clients. So saying this, I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus, but I think it's a good thing for people to hear. The reason we do a lot with rifle shooting skills too, we don't do archery mostly because archery guys are very self-sufficient minded type guys generally. But rifle, most of those guys, many of the people we teach are brand new to hunting. Some of them are brand new to shooting, or at least, at the very least, brand new to shooting in the Western United States in difficult circumstances.
Mountain
My
conditions,
first year, our first year doing this course, we had 24 rifle clients out. Of those 24, 18 had a shot opportunity. Of those 18, 8 killed an elk, and of those 8, only one guy hit the elk on his first shot.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
So
I believe it, man.
And that's pretty common. I mean, you've been a guide. You can probably vouch that until the elk is dead and on the ground, like I may have to get guys on 3 or 4 different elk before they finally hit one, right? Yeah. And so we teach the shooting portion. Most of what we teach is how to be successful at hitting accurately in difficult shooting positions.
Gotcha. That's critical, man. It's funny you say that. I have a way harder time getting my hunters to actually hit the animal than I do actually finding the animal and getting them a shot, And so last year was an exception, man. I had some great shots come in for Montana rifle season last year. Some dudes, I had one guy from Reno, Nevada that nailed a bull almost 600 yards, dropped him dead right there. I had some really good shooters last year, but that is the exception, man. It's usually kind of the other way around.
It is. But it's not that guys aren't willing to learn. It's that they don't recognize what they don't know a lot of the time.
Yeah.
A lot of them come out and they're like, I'm good out to 700 yards. You get a bull within 700 yards, I'm good. It's like, well, that may be true off of a bench. But let's put you on a slope going this way and the elk's on this slope, and now let's have you shoot 700 yards. Very different ballgame. Right.
Yeah, very different. And I think it's important, because I'll get that too. I'm good out to 700 yards. I'm usually going to try to keep them at about 400 or less if I can, and that's usually pretty doable out here. So, I think that's fantastic. You kind of focus on that shooting part, but because I think that's missing. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of resources. Like when I was a kid, we didn't have all these online courses and podcasts and YouTube videos, and so there's like no excuses anymore for people to come out west and just jack it all up because they don't know, they don't understand elk, or they don't understand, how to shoot or what kind of gear will get you by versus what kind of gear is just getting kind of gluttonous, And so I think it's a great, it really is there's never been a better time to get into hunting. And, it's like, I always make fun of us as hunters because we do, like when you said going to Alaska is absolute pure hell. And that sounds great to me. Can you imagine a couple of golfing buddies sitting around in a bar and they're like, oh, you got to play this golf course over there, man. It's absolute hell. It's absolutely, you're going to be, your feet are going to sink in the green or whatever. I don't golf, so I don't know the terminology, but it's just so different with hunters, and we just really embrace that suck. But what you were talking about with the mental toughness, I think a lot of people want to think they're going to embrace the tough until they get on a mountain and it starts raining and they're wet and there's huckleberry brush that's chest high and you're soaked from that point down and, wanting to go back to the truck. That's the time when you want to stay on the mountain.
It's true. And that's also the time where good gear, and sometimes that means expensive gear, can come in handy.
Yes.
So like Alaska, I do buy budget gear for Alaska as well. But I will say this, still a lot of my gear, like my favorite jacket ever was one that I bought at a thrift store. Like it's so warm. I bought it for $3, right? But you do want to be prepared. You don't want to be underprepared, but you also don't need to show up looking like a $10,000 bill, right?
Yeah. No, totally agree. There's some hacks out there, man. We should share. I'll bet you've got some pretty good hacks. The thrift store is a really good one. Yard sales is another one. And I'll tell you, I follow on that Facebook marketplace. Dude, there's a lot of guys that are like, hey, I want to get into hunting. They get all this gear, they spend 10 grand, and they go out on a hunt and get their butts absolutely handed to them. And they get home and they're like, I am never doing that again. I'm going back to golf. I'm going back to surfing, whatever. I'm never doing this again. And they'll start throwing this stuff for pennies on the dollar on Facebook Marketplace. Like, jump on, I encourage everybody listening, jump on Facebook Marketplace and look up hunting boots. You will be blown away with how many are out there and ready to go for you to pick up for cheap. Especially if you can get, here's an idea, man. This would be a hack, because I just know things about this particular state. Go to Texas and get on the Facebook Marketplace there. And
it's true.
Yeah, no, they will, because they want the best down. Everything's bigger in Texas, and Texas, these guys, about half of them, they either come out to like Montana and decide they're going to do it every year and they hold on to their gear, and the other half goes home and sells it all. And that's what you're looking for.
It's true. And something else that I want to help guys understand is it's okay to come out and have your first experience in the West be almost completely miserable, because then you know what you actually need and want. If you spend $10,000 before you come out, you're probably going to throw half the crap you buy away because you realize you don't need it. Somebody told me, one of my good friends said, there's something to be said for getting the bare minimum, coming out, embracing the suck, having enough that you're not going to die out there, but just, it's not comfortable, but you make do. And then you know what you need to upgrade later. Right. But if you just come out, or if you just start buying gear, the more gear you buy and the more money you spend on gear, most of the time that correlates to less time hunting. And I just got to tell, I want to help guys understand that they are free to not buy expensive crap for their first go around. They can always upgrade later. The goal is for this to not be their last trip, right? It's just their first trip. So free yourself from the idea that you have to buy expensive stuff for your first go. Come out, do it, and work up from there.
I love it, man. I think that's a great concept. I think that also too, especially again, going back to my younger self or whatever, you guys listening, getting into hunting, maybe, there's ways. Try to make it so that, like, your responsibilities, your wife, your kids, your rent, your mortgage, maybe you have a minivan payment or whatever. Don't buy a minivan. Actually, forget the minivan. Get like an SUV. They're safer. Anyway, when you're looking at building up your gear, don't think you have to be all outfitted for your first hunt with everything. Tate made a great point with boots. Get your first year, start with some really good boots and make do with everything else. Those boots are going to last you multiple seasons. I don't know a lot of people, I personally don't know a lot of people that spend as much time in the fall in the mountains than I do and has put on as many miles. I just don't know a lot of people that do. And I can get 3, 4, 5 seasons out of these better boots. $300 to $500 is that kind of money spot for those.
I agree.
And one of those things that I did when I was young is I wanted to buy a brand new bow that nobody else had fired, because I'd bought 2 pawn shop bows, right? And this is back in the day. So what I did is I put an ad out there. This was back when the internet classified, Craigslist was a brand new thing, right? It was all that stuff was coming out. I'm 25, 26 years old. I put this ad out. I had this flatbed trailer, and I would come and remove your old wood fence or whatever. Because a lot of people, they buy these houses, they don't want the wood fence, they want to put up some other fence or not even have a fence. It's a random thing, but I for some reason thought of it. Junk removal, fence removal specialist. Dude, my phone rang off the hook for a month straight off of this ad, and I was going on Saturdays, I was taking people's fences down, and I'd take that wood and I'd go pile it up, and I took it to my dad's ranch so we could burn it. This was down in Utah. And I made enough money to buy like a $1,200 bow, which back in like 2005 or whatever, that was an expensive bow. That was a really expensive, nice bow. And I ran that bow for 10 years. I used that bow for 10 years. But there's ways to get creative so that you're not taking it away from, because this is what one of the things that comes up a lot, Tate, is like, hey, I'd love to go hunting, but I can't afford it. My wife says we don't have the money. My wife is complaining that I'm spending this much money to come and go on a hunt or whatever. I get it, man. My wife did that too. So you got to make the extra money. Don't take away from your family money. Make the extra money and make enough to buy your wife something really cool that she's going to really appreciate, because then the griping will subside quite substantially if she's a reasonable woman.
Or just become a guide and make it part of
There
your
you
living.
go.
and then your wife is no longer angry with you for going hunting. But
I love that one.
Last thing I want to talk about with gear, if I might, is especially with archers and with rifles, though, is guys focus so much on FOC. They focus a lot on broadhead choice, which all of that matters. The general like type of bow, like, oh, you should shoot a Hoyter, you can't kill elk, or you should shoot a primer, you can't kill elk, or you should shoot a PSE or you can't kill elk, right? That's bullcrap in my mind. It's the same thing with cartridge in my mind. I've killed elk with a 243, but I also stayed like 250 yards from them. So don't feel like you can't, but like you have to buy a brand new extreme long range hunting rifle to come out and kill elk either, or to kill mule deer or antelope or anything else. Bring Grandpa's 270. I shot an elk with my Grandpa's 30-06 this last year. It's a 105-year-old rifle, and I killed an elk with it. It was great.
Amen, man. I love that point. That's a great point. I killed a great mule deer buck with a crappy bow that I didn't even know how to sight in back in the day. It's a great point. Obviously, my recommendation, because what we try to do with like our hunting clients, man, is that we'll have conversations long before they come out to try to dispel a lot of this. And one of the big questions is, well, what kind of rifle should I buy? Because we're spending this much on the hunt. I don't know about, spending a boatload of money on a rifle. Yeah, man, what rifle do you have? I have a 30-06 from like 1972 with a 3x9 powered scope on it. Go sight that bad boy in and come out. We'll put you in front of an elk that you'll be able to kill with that old 30. You don't need a $5,000 rifle. I'm glad you made that point. I think that's super critical. Now, if you're a serious hunter, right? I see the smile. You know where I'm going with this. If you're a deadly serious hunter that's going to spend a lot of time chasing a lot of tags, use the rifle, the most rifle or bow, the most you can afford, where you're not putting yourself in some detrimental position financially. Get the best rifle or bow that you can afford that's not putting your family out. And just understand that just the nature of life. I think a lot of 20-year-old dudes don't understand this concept. Life is a progression, right? Where you're at 20 is not where you're going to be at 30. And where you're at 30 is not where you're going to be at 40. Life is a progression. Don't worry. You've got plenty of time. You'll be able to afford that high-dollar rifle. And everybody that you want to maybe show that $5,000 rifle to on Instagram, they don't really give a crap, man. They don't care. They don't care. You're trying to, there's somebody that I can't remember who said it, but you're trying to impress people that you don't even like. It's true, man. Like, don't try to impress people with your gear and your rifle and all that kind of stuff. Impress people with the skills that you have to be a successful hunter. And you could do it in freaking Walmart jeans and a flannel shirt.
I kind of want to do that this year. I want to go with a cap and ball muzzleloader. And, and flannels, just go shoot something with it.
Can. I killed a 400-pound Russian boar with a 69 caliber smoothbore Civil War musket, and so you can do it, man. Cool. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I shot an elk a few years ago with a 50 caliber patch round ball Hawkins rifle.
Did you really?
I did. That was one of the most. I'm really proud of that. I just barely bought a 54 caliber Hawkins as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a custom gun, but I got a really good deal on it, and man, I'm so excited to shoot something with it.
That'd be fun, man. I've never killed an elk with any kind of black powder. I have one. I have a brand new one. I've never even fired it. I need to take it out and shoot it, but
You should.
the only
I
thing I've
love,
killed was that
especially
boar.
in Idaho, the black powder season. We're getting off tangent, but I got to say it. In Idaho,
you're
the
good.
black powder seasons are extremely strict on what you can and can't use. Like you
Yes.
basically are limited to like a very limited gun or an old Hawkins. And most of the guys that I know around here were using old Hawkins or Pennsylvania rifles or something like that. And
Yeah.
I put in for a bull tag this year because I really wanted to shoot a bull with my muzzleloader, and I didn't draw the tag. But
Dang.
I think I'm going to go cow elk hunting with it this year. I'd rather kill a cow with the Hawkins than a bull with my rifle, honestly. So
Yeah. Man, I've kind of I've morphed into this thing where I'd almost just rather kill a cow anyway because they taste so much better. I mean, they really do. So
they do.
But no, that's great. No, I spent most of my adult life I was in North Idaho, so I'm really familiar with like Idaho's muzzleloader laws. They are pretty strict. They're not much different in Montana either, but they're a little more lax, but not much. It's just something I've never. The thing is there's actually some really good muzzleloader seasons out west in a lot of these states. There's like some really optimal times to be out there, especially with a muzzleloader. Like Idaho's goes into December. Well, so does Montana's. Man, there's some great opportunity with a muzzleloader that time of year. I should like track down my old that Civil War musket I was talking about. I think that would pass. But it's a smooth bore, so you're shooting this big round 69 caliber blob of lead that you don't know where it's actually going to go. It's pretty cool.
I kind of want to hunt with something like that. Get a brown bass and just go hunting with it. That'd be great. So
it'd be cool if somebody did like, and you'd be like perfect for this. Go make a YouTube video of going out on a rifle hunt with like the crappiest rifle you could find, some crappy tennis shoes, some whatever pants from the Goodwill, and get out there and kill an elk with all this crappy gear just to prove that it can be done. I think that'd be a cool video. I'd watch that.
What I'm going to do, I'm going moose hunting this fall, and my goal, I'm hoping it'll happen, but my goal, I've been practicing a ton with my dad's bow from the 80s. It was his first compound bow, and it still shoots really well. I've been practicing shooting that instinctively with, cheap, crappy arrows. I mean, the bow is so freaking old. But my goal is to kill a moose with that instinctive this year. And I'm good to about 40 to 50 yards right now with it.
Dude, that would be awesome. I need you to keep me posted on that, because if you do, you need to come back on the show and tell us a story.
I would love to do that. Let's hope it happens.
Let's do it, man. Keep me posted. Well, I'm glad we met, man. This has been a really good conversation. I like having these kind of conversations. I think they reset people's mindset a lot, where we can all, and I've been guilty of this, where it's like, man, no, I have to replace my binos, or no, dude, there is nothing wrong with my binos. There's nothing wrong with my boots. And, there's just so many options. I think a key takeaway for listeners would be, don't not go hunting because you don't have the latest and greatest of anything gear-wise. Just get out there and go hunting, because even a bad hunt is better than a great day at work, and you're going to learn a lot about hunting by doing that, right?
100%. I couldn't agree with you more.
All right, brother, man, tell everybody where they can find you, and like websites, social media, anything like that.
Yeah, so on YouTube and Instagram, and I think Facebook as well, just at Process-Based Hunter. There's no ED on processed or on process. It's just Process-Based Hunter. And then our website, processbasedhunter.com, to go and look at our courses and our offerings. Hopefully within the next 6 months or so, we're going to have some online offerings coming out as well. But I have a business to run of in-person courses while at the same time trying to create online courses, and it is difficult. But
do you do any hunting courses outside of hunting season, like this time of year?
Yeah, so we just barely got done with our biggest one of the season. We take 48 people generally, and that's our elk hunting boot camp that we do in June. And we take people out. That's where it's 60% shooting and 40% elk hunting and mountaineering skills. So we teach people how to call in elk. It's a really fun experience. And this year I was actually in the hospital for it this year, unfortunately. I had some weird bacterial infection in my guts. It was quite a horrible experience for me, but gratefully I have really good employees and everything went without a catch. So
cool, man. Well, that's fantastic, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to put the Instagram in the show notes, guys. I definitely check that out. I think it's a good, like, I wish, man, I wish I would have had something like that when I was like becoming I was raised with guys that wanted to go elk hunting that knew nothing about elk. And so we all went out and just got our teeth kicked in. We were good. We were okay at deer hunting. They were terrible elk hunters, man. So I had to like relearn everything when I got out of the service. And if I'd had a course like that, it would have really shaved off a lot of frustration.
I would say our courses. I think our courses take off about 5 years of a learning curve is what I would say.
Nice.
It's going to take about 5 years off your learning curve. So
cool, man. Well, let's do this again sometime, man. I appreciate it. This is awesome. Yeah, I think you gave where we could find you. Anything else you want to leave everybody with?
Just get out there and do it. Don't put it off any longer. If you can afford it, do it. If you can't afford it, work harder and make it a possibility.
Yep. Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Tate. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you to Precision Pay, Easton Archery, Browning, Mystery Ranch, and Leupold Optics. If you guys can afford it, you need to go check those sponsors out. They make this show possible. And thanks again to Eastman's Hunting Journals. Guys, we'll talk to you next week. See ya.
You made it. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Western Huntsman and write us a good review at Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on